Welcome to The Longer Game, the only show that's dedicated to the future of retail. We bring on real-life people in the retail industry. We talk about their experiences, we share their stories, we apply it to what's currently going on in the market, and we look towards the future of retail. You could say it's retail reimagined. My name is Michael Marr. I run a customized, done-for-you service agency called Cartology that helps brands win on Amazon. Now, while my expertise stems in the Amazon field, we bring on a wide array of guests because retail is expansive. You've got e-commerce. Yes, you've got marketplaces like Amazon. You've also got brick and mortar that is evolving. You've got logistics. You've got technology, finance. There are so many aspects to retail, and it's complicated. So we're here to bring you the entire story. Do you think that you have an interesting story and you'd like to tell it on the podcast? Then go to thelongergame.com and fill out a form to be a guest on the show today. You can catch The Longer Game on any social channels: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and our website, thelongergame.com. We've got all awesome guests on this show, so that I will promise. Are you ready to hear more about the future of retail? Let's get down to business. Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Longer Game. This is the podcast where we talk all about retail. That means we talk about stuff in actual physical retail stores. We talk to direct-to-consumer brands, with tech partners, all kinds of people that are involved in the retail space. And today with me, I have Craig Phillips. He's a national account manager at Great Northern In-Store. And based on their name, you might guess they do a lot of stuff for brands in store. And I'm going to let Craig do a better job of explaining that than I ever probably could. So welcome, Craig. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks, Michael. Happy to be here. Oh, hi to the Longer Game fans. So Great Northern, we're a full encompassing POP display and packaging manufacturer. We really try to partner with the brands that we work with. We're not a transactional type company, a one-off type thing. We want to develop a strategy and a go-to-market strategy with you. And that's all encompassing of your retail packaging that's on the shelf, but also when you get the opportunity to kind of get off shelf in a POP display. And we work with a lot of the actual retailers, Target and Walmart and Costco, and we understand the nuances of the space that they're going to allow you to be in, and come up with strategies and partner with the brands that we work with to best execute on the deliverables that they're trying to accomplish, whether that's recognition or lift in sales. So we take that all into account when we're designing and executing.
Didn't you literally write the book for Target on displays? Am I right?
Yeah, we did. So we have a really good standing relationship with Target. It's called preferred vendor status. And they approached us and kind of asked us to write the retail guidebook. So that's, if you're in the end cap, it's got to be this size and this tall, and you can use these colors. And so it's a PDF document that they'll send out to any brand that's kind of exploring those spaces. And like you said, we wrote it and co-authored it with them, actually.
We were talking about this a little bit before, we got started recording, but sometimes it feels like, at least from my perspective, I don't want to be a complainer, but sometimes it feels like as a service agency or someone providing that is a partner with the brand, but is not the direct brand, that you or myself, who are both, vendors, whatever, service providers, you're also kind of providing a product as well too, but like design as a service, and then you go and execute on it, that we can feel like a pariah to people because we're not, the buyer at Costco. We're not the buyer at Target. But I think that's a little bit short-sighted because, and this happens with Amazon all the time, people go in and they're like, yeah, we think we can do this. We can handle it. I'm like, great, do that. And let me know how it goes in like 3 to 6 months. Do it on your own. Let me know how it goes in 3 to 6 months if you make it that far. And it's not a threat. The reality is it's so complex. And if I were a brand getting into Target and everything I've seen from CPG brands, I know if I think about a big company like an SC Johnson or a P&G, they have those existing relationships and they have an understanding of kind of what to expect. If you're a brand that's new, you have no idea what to expect. I know what to expect when it comes to Amazon. I know that if something's on the body or in the body, it's likely to get suppressed regularly, and you have to be prepared for that. But if you're a brand and you don't know that and it happens, you're freaking out because let's say you've got 4 SKUs, one of them is your hero SKU, your hero SKU goes down because you get a couple complaints. What do? Amazon says you're pressed. We say, hey, this isn't true what this person said. What's Amazon's response going to be? We don't care. Prove to us that it's not a problem. Now it's incumbent upon you to prove that. If I'm going into a store, I want a partner that's going to say, look, here's exactly what you need to be thinking about. So I feel like there's a reframe that needs to happen sometimes, and it's not every brand, but if you know what to do and what to expect with Target, people should want to work with you.
Exactly. And it's kind of in our space, in our industry, if you don't do it right, the retailers have punishments.
Yep.
They can fine you. They cannot put your product on the shelf. So if it comes in the wrong kind of box, and it creates more work for the people that have to put it on the shelves. In a lot of instances, like I said, they'll either fine you or like they won't even put it on the shelf. So, and I think the mindset of some of these people is, hey, you're a dime a dozen. There's a million of you.
Which
And
isn't technically untrue in terms of volume, but quality is way, way different.
Yeah, and it's not just designers that we have on staff, it's a whole team of people, account coordinators and account managers like myself that understand everything that goes into what actually is behind the scenes of how to get this executed and delivered on time, the right specifications to these various retailers. And Walmart's different than Target, Costco's different than Sam's Club. And as a brand, as a new brand, especially understand that can be challenging. So to partner with a company like Great Northern we're a valuable asset to anyone that we're talking to.
Part of it is just like you're in sales. I do sales for my agency, Cartology. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of people that just aren't ready. Like the way that I think about sales from a qualification standpoint, and I'm like realizing I probably went on for like 2 or 3 minutes about how people think we're a pariah. I think I'm okay with it. It can be frustrating at times because I know that I need help, and the older I get, the more I ask for help with people who are not like I'm not going to be an expert in this area, and guess what? I get help. Like we brought someone in to help us from an operational standpoint to implement EOS. For anyone who's familiar with the book Traction, it's been super instrumental in helping us to become more efficient and not just be like every other agency, which is throw a person in, expect them to do the job and know the skill set, and just figure out a process when like not everyone's going to be process oriented. But we asked for help and we got help. So it can be a little frustrating, but also everyone's selling something.
Right.
You're selling the product into Target, whatever the case might be. And yeah, who wants chargebacks? Who wants fines? Like the margins of those retailers are a lot more slim, I think, than just normal people realize. They see these, companies making billions of dollars, but their margins might be maybe 10%. Right. I don't know. In some cases for a grocery store, it could be less. So anything they can do to make sure they don't take on that extra cost, like they're going to push back to the brand.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I could say that better. So.
Okay, great. So we can just end the podcast here. I heard you say something in the beginning. We talked about design of your package and stuff in store. There is a good friend of mine named Ainsley Moyer. Ainsley Moyer, and she's a food and beverage consultant. She came on, I want to say last season, and she talked about how a lot of brands say, I'm just going to get my packaging good enough so I can just get it on the shelf. But that feels really wrong. So what are people missing? I mean, if you disagree with me, go for it. But if you agree, why is that a miss, and how do you help people to avoid that such a big miss?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. That would be a ill-advised strategy. Sure, speed to market's super important, but if you don't execute well, it's like in a lot of instances, a new brand, especially at retail, you have one second, like half a second of someone's attention. And if you're not considering all of the things that a buyer's considering, like they're looking at when they walk down an aisle, you're not going to get their attention. And so what? You have a box that you put it in, but if they never see your product, they're never going to buy from you. And the retailers are, especially when you're brand new, they're doing analytics and data like, okay, what's actually selling? And they give you one shot essentially. Like if you don't have good lift, you're not going to be invited back to resell next quarter or next year, or whatever kind of contract you have in place. So design, colors, all of that matters. If you have a premium product, you want to have a premium package. If you have a lower value product, you still want to have a nice package, but there are ways to kind of cut costs from like a premium style package or display that you should be considering in all instances.
So, give me an example of a brand who maybe is more price efficient. What's something they could do versus a premium brand to cut some costs but still attract people's attention?
Yeah, I mean, there's at least at our company, we have lots of different manufacturing capabilities and printing technologies. So the most premium version of print would be called litho print, lithographic printing. It's four color process, so that's CMYK, which
Okay.
the four colors create all of the colors essentially, and it's done on very expensive high end equipment, and it's printed on a like a 100 pound, 80 pound piece of paper. We have printing presses that go up to as large as 80 inches wide, and what you do is you print on that first, and then you mount it to corrugate it. So that's kind of the most premium version of printing. The next step down would be digital printing, which has come a long ways in most recent years. It's also a four color process technology,
Okay.
but it's printed directly onto the corrugated. The speed of it is it's not as fast, and at very low quantities, it's not very economical. Well, it kind of sorry, at high quantities, it's not as economical as it would be to go litho. But if you're kind of in that sweet spot of like, I need 500 of these, but I still want this premium looking package, digital would be the way to go. And then kind of a step down from there is called direct print, which is flexographic printing.
Okay.
And what that is it's single stations of color that are on rubber plates, and we can go up to 7 colors. And if you're kind of just doing your logo and some basic copy, I mean, but we're so advanced with it, we've gotten so good at it. Like you can actually start to create images by overlaying the colors from one another. So you can kind of build up different gradients, and it's pretty impressive what you can do with that as well. So, and that's like if you have high volume and you don't need like hero shots or photography on your packaging or your displays, that's kind of the way to go.
Okay. So basically, there's options for brands, whether they've got a lot of money, they've got big margin, maybe they don't have a lot of margin, but they should certainly be thinking about what is going to get a consumer's attention. One, because you have to get a consumer's attention, and two, whatever retailer you're in, they're monitoring that. And if you don't show up, that was your shot. Like you blew it.
Exactly. Yes. Like I said earlier, you kind of have new brands, especially, or even established brands that are maybe launching a new product. You have that one shot. And that's why displays can be so effective. That's kind of the off the shelf. All right, I'm not in this sea of everything else. Like I'm right center focused right here. And so if you're have a nice display and you have a great call to action on the display, or the unique differentiator of why your product is different from all the other products, you're really going to catch someone's eye and get that impulse buy. And once if you have a great product and you get the first time customer, they're going to keep coming back to you.
What are some things that when brands are like working with you on design for a display, what are some areas that they initially get wrong that you have to correct them on? Like what mindset could someone come in with to get it right from the get go? Like I have some ideas. I don't know if I said gecko or gecko, but I meant gecko, not Geico Insurance gecko. But what are just some errors that in thinking that people have when they first come in to think about a display?
I don't, I would say they, I was sometimes would expect the value of this, they would lessen it. Like you said earlier, like as long as I have one, I'm fine. And that's true, like truly not the case. Like if just having a display or having a box is not good enough. And so in some instances I've been partnering with brands, and they get alarmed at like, oh my God, it's going to cost that much. And in all fairness, it's costing what it's going to cost. But you have to consider like this is how you're getting your customers, this is how you're getting their attention. And in a lot of instances, packaging can actually upsell your product. Perfume, cologne is a great example of that. The actual cost of goods to manufacture cologne is nothing, but where they create value is in the unique packaging that they put in, these fancy glass bottles and super premium folding cartons that go over the bottle. So they're creating a lot of the value through packaging and actually not the product.
Think about alcohol. Like I saw a lot of stuff. I love bourbon. I love good tequila. But I saw a lot of stuff that came out this year that was like, it's the year of the dragon. Get this. I don't really like scotch very much, but get this Johnny Walker Blue Dragon bottle, or get this Cavassier Dragon bottle. I'm like, it's still the same alcohol in there, right? It's not a different, like, if it were like a release of like, hey, age statement on this bourbon is normally 5 years, but we're doing a special release, a special bottle, it's 10 years. Great, I'm in. But like a lot of people I talked to bought those bottles because it's a collector bottle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you walk down the cereal aisle, this is a great example. I always tell people in most instances, the French, what is it, cinnamon French toast that's at the top by, I don't know, General Mills or whoever it is
Yeah.
on the top shelf. But then you have your private label on the bottom shelf that's in like no packaging at all, maybe just like a sealed bag. It's the exact same product. It's most likely made at the same place. They're just private labeling it for that retailer. And the way that General Mills is creating value is by putting it in this fancy box with the French toast guy or Count Chocula and
Yeah.
maybe a toy inside. So they're creating all of their value through the packaging.
And they spent, I don't know how many years doing brand awareness plays, big television campaigns, media campaigns, national media to drive attention to this, whereas the retailer is just relying upon you being in store because they know you need something. And
Mm-hmm.
now the packaging doesn't matter as much. It becomes a value play, even though it's very much the same product. And in that case, whoever's manufacturing, if it's General Mills, they're still making money on it, so it's good for them. They just maybe
Right.
don't have quite the brand share of purchases or share of voice simply because someone's going for the bottom shelf product.
Yeah.
I think that the displays for any retailer, like I imagine that they vary a lot. Like I think about what would show up in a Costco versus a Target versus a Walmart. They're very different. I live up the street from a Target and Walmart. They're literally maybe a quarter mile, if that, from each other. I walk into those stores, very different vibes. Very different vibes, and they're in the exact same area. Can you talk to maybe reasons why you might design something a certain way for a Costco versus a Target versus a Walmart?
Yeah, I mean, so you got to know your audience. Who shops at Target? Who shops at Walmart? Who shops at Costco? I'll start with Costco. So Costco's a club store, it's bulk, but they have a really robust like electronics section that has really great value. And one of the things that Costco asks of the brands is we want our own unique SKU. And other retailers do it too. If you want to get in our door, you have to create some new value for the customer. They can't get anywhere else. They can't get it in Amazon or Walmart.
And they probably don't want them to be able to price pair, like go to an Amazon and say, oh, well, this is the same product. I can get it here for this cost.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of ways a brand would do that is adding a secondary component to, like, if it's a Bluetooth speaker, maybe you're adding a holder for it or something.
Okay.
And so then your display has to broadcast that, okay, it's the Bluetooth speaker you can get at Walmart, but it has all these additional throw-ins, additional, not features, but like products that this is why it's such a great value. This is why you should buy it here. This is why you should buy it now. This is all we have. Once it's here, once it's sold through, we're not getting another pallet of this. So they create some scarcity there at Costco. Sam's Club would kind of be the same. And then Target versus Walmart, I would tend to lean the consumer that goes into Target, maybe a little more discretionary income. That's why I think the stores look a little fancier versus Walmart.
Almost very no frills.
Exactly.
And is notorious for having videos of people with their butt cracks and stuff hanging out. But I can certainly say if there's a time where money is more scarce in my house because someone lost a job or whatever. Like I run my own business. Sometimes we make more money than others. We might be more value oriented. And so we would go to Walmart and actually have really great produce there for not as expensive, whereas Target stuff might be a little bit more expensive. Not necessarily, like I think you have to price compare, but I actually had someone on my podcast, I want to say last season or the season before, and he talked about how Walmart Plus memberships are actually from younger people with more discretionary income, which I thought was really interesting. So it's different than what might you normally see in store. I'm not saying you can't have your butt crack hanging out on it. I'm just saying the pictures are what they are.
Yeah, I've definitely seen those Instagram accounts and websites. I lived in Korea for a year, kind of before I got into this industry, and I taught English. And there was a website that we called ourselves expats that someone created of all of the
Ass pats?
expats.
Oh, I thought you were going with somewhere with a joke. Well, that's my site. Nobody take the URL. I'm going to get it right
Expats,
now.
yeah, I like that. But so I don't want to speak. I loved my experience in Korea and the people there are amazing, but there is a tendency to get really drunk, especially business people, and they'll just fall asleep on the streets. They'll go out to a work meeting and do soju shots and soju shots. And I mean, in the town I lived in, I walked over people on my way to walking to school many times. That it was a guy who took his suit off, took his watch off, put his wallet next to him, and just laid on the street. So someone created a website of all of these people just laying around in Korea.
I went to college and my major in college was Asian studies. And it's part of my story because I told my daughter this recently. I was driving her to school and she knew this, but she's like, how are you using that degree? I'm like, right, I'm not. Wasn't a necessary degree for me to become an entrepreneur and get involved in e-commerce and Amazon. And so I always tell people, I'll let you know when I end up finding a use for it. But part of what I did in that degree was just learn about culture. And the same thing is somewhat similar in Japan. And I don't know that people are necessarily sleeping. Actually, they are sleeping on the street because that is something that I've read articles about. Like there's an epidemic of people, sleeping on the street. But part of it, it's super culturally relevant. And this could honestly even play in a Target or a Walmart. Maybe Target has the appearance of being more discretionary income. They have the stores be a little bit nicer, so they have a different culture in store, and so they attract certain kind of people. But a lot of Japanese businessmen and probably women, they're going to places and they feel pressured because their boss is drinking and they don't feel like they can say no, so they go and do it to be a part of the crowd. Worse kind of peer pressure. And I remember talking to someone who was in a bathroom. He's like, yeah, businessmen throwing up in the bathroom, like regularly in a restaurant. It's very like normal. And if anything, that same culture of like, you could call it a peer pressure or like a grinding culture because you're going and drinking, not necessarily because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. That same thing might rear its ugly head in the U.S. of like, all right, they're getting there early and staying late, so I have to do that same thing. You burn yourself out in a different way. Maybe you're not sleeping on the street, but you're getting home later, not getting as good of sleep. It shows up, 5-10 years later.
Yeah, exactly. I was accustomed to that peer pressure while I was there too. We had like teacher dinners, and one of my first days there, for the first week there, my co-teacher that was kind of like my guide of like, how do you manage living here?
Yeah.
Came up to me, and I had read about kind of the culture of the drinking culture and the respect your elders. But she's like, if the principal of the school offers you a soju, you have to take it. And
what was your response to that?
I was like, oh, okay. And then you have to offer them one.
Then it never ends. That's ridiculous. What if you're an alcoholic? Can you say, I'm an alcoholic, I don't drink? Like, is that something you can say?
Yeah. So, I mean, in recent times, there's been kind of a shift, like that they realize like that's a problem and a disease. And so what they would recommend is you would give them a bottle of their version of Sprite or something and say, I'll do it with you, but I can't do the alcohol.
Oh, okay. I mean, so if I were going to go there, I enjoy drinking. I probably just tell people I'm an alcoholic to simply save myself and my liver. Because I don't know how they would sleep in the street and then just go back to work. Like, I'm thinking of practicalities. Like, do they take a shower? How are they sleeping on the street? Like, My wife would not be able to do that. She would not get a good rest. She'd be tired. And if you're doing that
Yeah.
every single night, like that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would drive to school, so I'd be like, I'm driving home. I'm not. I don't want to get a DUI. Like this isn't safe, and I have to work tomorrow. Like teach all these kids. Like I was teaching elementary kids. Like I don't want to be hungover for this. So I would start.
Why
Would
is
do one
Mr.
or two.
Phillips so cranky and groggy in the morning? I don't understand him. Yeah, you have to be alert if you're teaching people English
Exactly.
versus just, you know, I don't know, hopping on a sales call and being like, I think I heard you. I don't know. Yeah, we'll give you a deal. I don't know, whatever the case is. Just crazy how that stuff works. But I feel like each culture probably has the desire to want to be in company. If we're thinking about it like that, I
Hmm.
think it makes sense. I truly believe that God designed us as humans to live in community, and we need other people to hold us accountable. So like that desire to be in community, I think is really powerful. It just sometimes can go astray. I also think we're called to work, but in the States, a lot of times Western culture, it's work to be validated. And if anything, it should be you are valid as you are. You certainly need to work to provide for yourself. I don't have a problem with capitalism. I think a lot of people decry it, just like religion or anything else, because the people mess it up. People are
Yeah.
always the problem. We're dealing with humans. They're infallible. They're fallible, excuse me. They're not infallible. And so they're the ones that mess things up. Like conscious capitalism is a thing because you can take your money and turn it into good or help it to further people. And certainly that happens. But that positive thing of like working can turn into something very not positive.
Exactly. And that's why when people choose the jobs that they have, that's and in my experience when I'm interviewing, like I want to get to know the work culture, and it's something I truly value. Like I don't want to be thrown into a meat grinder and expected to always be going. Like I want some culture and respect of who I am and the time that I have. And the company I'm at right now, Great Northern, is a great example of someone that truly means what they say when they say they have a great work culture.
There's a lot of people who I think about, to take a step back, I think about brands that I talk with, and they often have agency burn, which is agency oversold you, they underperformed, or they just didn't know what they were doing. Still, they sold you on something that they couldn't deliver on, and now you get soured on an agency. Similar to the very beginning of the conversation, we're talking about people not wanting to talk to salespeople because they're a pariah. Well, they probably dealt with someone in sales who promised them something and the ops couldn't deliver on. And I've seen so people have that real agency burn. Honestly, if you're a good company that knows what you're doing, that can be an asset for you because you don't have to combat that. You can just listen to the experience that someone has and then prove that you're not going to be that same way by not saying, well, look at how great we're not going to do that. Just hear them out, show some empathy, move on to the next thing, and build a little bit of there. I don't think you have to have a strong relationship for someone to buy from you at all, but build a little bit of rapport, and that can work in your favor. But I've seen a lot of people who just have work hurt. Like they went to a company and said, "We're going to develop you. We're going to do all this stuff." Never happened. And now
Hmm.
they're like apprehensive to go work somewhere. Or when something does come true, like, man, this is crazy. Like that Great Northern Store is actually building into me, giving me time or respecting who I am as a person. And I mean, that ultimately comes down to the leaders. It always trickles down in that way. If your leader says something, but they don't do it, the rest of the company's not going to feel like they have to do it either.
Yeah, and if your employees are happy working for the company that they're at, it's only going to make their work better. And I think that's kind of the strategy that Great Northern has is we want you to enjoy working here. We want you to have the time you need to get out of here and not take work home with you unless it's absolutely necessary, so that you can come back in every day and be refreshed and ready to go. Be a great partner to all of the brands and companies that we work with. So it really resonates. And I've been told so many times on calls and post mortem, like, let's break down what happened, not what happened, but like how something went. And my customers will tell me, like, the people that you work with are amazing. Like, that I've not had this experience working with other companies. And we bring, if I don't know something, I bring the expert in.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, like, I'm not going to tell you I know everything, but we have people that are experts in certain areas, sustainability or design or marketing, in-store analytics. And if like, someone's asking me about that, I bring them in as the expert. So, and if the employees are happy, everyone's happy.
I was just going to say, if you treat your team well, and you build into them that client satisfaction or doing referral quality work is important, then I think those clients inevitably end up seeing that. And a big part of that, I feel like, is just communication and a little bit of transparency. Like, hey, I'm not sure when this is going to get done. I'm talking to my team. I don't want to promise anything. I'm hoping that it'll be done by the end of the month, but let me get back to you and get you a firm date, and then get back to them and say, hey, it's probably going to be, mid-May by the time we get that done. I know it's a little bit beyond what you want, but that's going to ensure that we get it right. We've just got a backlog. You communicate with people. They're so much more willing to work with you and at least have an idea when to anticipate something instead of gaslighting them. Oh, we'll get it done next week. Hey, where's this thing? I don't know. We'll get it done next week. We'll get it done next week. But you take care of your team, make sure they're taken care of. They're certainly going to take care of your clients, your customers a lot better.
Yep, exactly. I know that firsthand. Yeah. I think just yesterday, I always respect my coworkers' time, and I don't try to just always tell them, hey, I need this now. I need this now. But
Sure.
when I do need something now, I let them know, and they'll move things around because I'm not overburdening them with wishes that someone doesn't actually, maybe it's my wish because I'm antsy. I'm actually not talking about myself, but maybe another person that's in the company,
Sure.
like, hey, I need this now. I need this now. And you're going to burn people out, and they're going to read the room and like, you don't need it now. So yeah.
Classic boy that cried wolf. If everything's an urgency or priority, then nothing is a priority. So you have to be able to delineate between those.
Yes.
Love practical tips. So as we come to the end of our time together here, what is something practical that brands who are wanting to get into retail or even are in retail, what's something they could do right now to help improve what they're currently or already doing? Or their just desire to get into store. You can pick either one of those if that's more helpful, but what's something they could do practically in order to improve what they would see in store from a performance perspective?
I would say for like a brand that's knocking at the door of retail, having some options ready, working with a company like Great Northern. And so like when Target calls or Walmart calls or you get that meeting, you're not just walking in with your product, you're walking in with your portfolio. So we have
Of like what a display might look like or something like that?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yep.
Mm.
And that's something we do all the time for our brands. They're like, hey, but we have a new retailer. We have this meeting next month. Pitch us some ideas of things that we can do for that. And so we'll do computer designs, we'll do white samples, we'll do color samples if you need it, if the fit's there, so that they can walk into these meetings really looking prepared and ready to go, like creating that sense of urgency for the retailer. Like, hey, we really want to work with you. Like, and we're all ready to go. We have it all wrapped up. That's definitely something you can do. Evaluating if you are currently in retail, if you have a way to evaluate, like, is what we're doing working? Like back to we have a box on the shelf. Okay, well, is it working? And so they can come to me or any of my colleagues at Great Northern, and we can evaluate for you. We can compare it to what other brands are doing in the space, or even brands that we're working with. We can not always share what they're doing, but we have the knowledge of
Sure.
what kind of works for them and what doesn't work. And I would say for brands that maybe don't even have retail on their horizon, they're starting in the digital space and the direct to consumer, that you would potentially want to consider what it's going to look like when you do go to retail. So if you have execution and planning meetings, like, what's our long game here? Like, are we only a direct to consumer company?
Mm-hmm.
What if this great opportunity comes along? And so kind of not planting the seeds, but like doing the planning ahead of time of what our retail strategy could look like. And that's something that we'll help brands with as well. Knowing that this might not come to life at all, or it might not come to life until 2 years from now. We really, one of our focuses at Great Northern is on emerging brands. So we understand you're not Procter and Gamble, you're not SC Johnson.
Right.
Your first order might be $5,000, but if you come to us, you're just as important as Procter and Gamble would be to us.
I love that. So basically, show up prepared to your meetings.
Yes.
When you're in planning meetings, prepare for the future, which I love and I think is great. People want to know more about what you're doing, Craig. Where should they look for you stepping over businessmen and women in Korea, or is there another place that they might go where they could find more about what you're up to?
I'm on LinkedIn, so you can type my name in, Craig Phillips, on LinkedIn. That's kind of my only handle right now in the business world. But if you want to learn more about Great Northern, you can visit our website. It's Great Northern, well, we have a few, but greatnortherninstore.com or Great Northern Corp, corp.com. It showcases all of our other stuff. It's not just in-store. We're a full encompassing packaging company. So even if you need brown boxes, that's something that we do as well.
Love it. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Show prepared to your next retailer meeting. Reach out to Craig if you need help. And that's it. We'll see you next time. All right, that was the show. What did you think? That was the longer game. We would love for you to share the show with other people and to leave us a review of the show. So go to iTunes, go to Spotify, you can go to YouTube, comment, leave a review, and share this on any social channels that you are active on and wherever you have influence. We want to share this story and stories like it to as many people as possible. Do you have a compelling story and do you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, and you're in the retail industry, then go to thelongergame.com, fill out a form, and we will contact you about coming on the show. You can find us on any social channels, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and you can go to our website, thelongergame.com, to actually read all of these episodes in blog form in text, because we know not everyone's going to listen. This podcast is brought to you by my agency, Cartology. We are a customized, done-for-you service agency that helps brands win on Amazon. It is super complex selling on the Amazon marketplace. We help simplify that for you. This podcast is also brought to you by Podcastify Me. They are a full-service podcast production company that designs podcasts around people who are paid for their advice. That is coaches. If you want someone to help create, strategize, and distribute your podcast to the masses, go to podcastify.me to find out more. I've so enjoyed that you've been a part of the conversation and that you've given of your time to hear these people's stories. We'd love for you to share. If you want to find out more, just go to thelongergame.com. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay blessed. And until next time, cheers.